So because tonight is a little more intimate, we can go somewhat deeper, and we can hopefully generate some questions from the subject matter. So the Bhagavad Gita is a very philosophical, very spiritual, also very enlivening ancient text. So the Bhagavad Gita, the book that you all have, is comprised of 5 primary topics. Of course, it can be broken down into more, but there are 5 topics that are spoken about in detail. Does anybody remember one of them? Karma.
Yeah, I could take a shot in the dark on it. Yeah, I would say karma.
Karma is one.
Dharma.
Duty, yeah.
What did she say?
Dharma.
Oh, yeah.
That is inherently in there. So it is time, karma, the modes of material nature, the living entity, and also divinity. These are the 5 focal points.
What was the last one?
The living entity.
So
And-
there's time, kala, karma,
Guna.
what's that?
Guna.
Gunas, the qualities of material nature. Prakriti,
Prakriti is considered one of the gunas, but yes.
and then what was the last one?
The living entity and divinity. Like us.
Divinity, okay.
Yeah. So these are the 5 kind of focal points of the Gita. And this conversation is actually a conversation that was had right before a very large battle. The battle was historically considered over 5,000 years old. And the reason why this conversation even occurred was because there was a warrior by the name of Arjuna who was having some type of conflict, some anguish, mental anguish, because he was getting ready to fight amongst his family and kinsmen. And in order to get some type of relief from this anxiety, this fear that he had, he went to his friend Krishna, who happens to be no other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Krishna explains to him about the temporary nature of life and these designations of life. So this chapter that we're on is called the modes of material nature. And these modes of material nature are like they're called gunas or ropes. Does anybody know why they're called ropes? Because they drag you by your consciousness. They bind you by your consciousness. And there's 3 gunas, just like there's 3 primary colors that make up, a myriad of images. These 3 ropes, or these 3 kinds of modes of nature, they shape our understanding. They shape how we see things, how we act, how we speak. And so before we go any deeper, we'll start with our invocation, and then we'll start with text number 1, and then Dvijiti will start with you, and then we'll go around till we get to text 8. So I'll start with the invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ujiti, do you mind reading text number 1? Yes. And then we'll go around and then try text 2 and then we'll go around.
Text number 1, the Blessed Lord said, again I shall declare, oh, by the way, I'm reading from an older version, non-edited, so if the word's a little different, don't be distracted, it still means the same. The Blessed Lord said, again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained to supreme perfection.
Text 2?
Trey, you want to read text 2?
Yes. It's every boldness. Finally, becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution.
The total material substance called Brahman is a source of birth, and it is the Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the births of all living beings, O son of Brahma.
It should be understood that all species of life, Osana Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving Father.
Text 5. Material nature consists of 3 modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, Almighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes.
O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge.
The mode of passion is born of limited desires and longings, O son of Kunti, and because of this the embodied living entity is bound to the material fruitive actions. Now text number 8. So I'll do the Sanskrit, and then we'll do it together. Let me get the meter on this. Okay. Tamastva jnana jambidhi mohanam sarvadehinam Pramadalasya nirdrabis Tan nibadanati bharata Tamastva tvajana tvagyanam jambidhi Mohanam sarvadehinam Pramadalasya nidrabis Tam nibadnati bharata Tamastva jnanam jambidhi Mohanam sarvadehinam Pramadalasya nidrabis Tan nibadnati bharata Tamastva jnana jambidhi Mohanam sarvadehinam Pramadalasya nidrabis Tam nibadnati bharata. So
Namastu Anjanya
Tamastva Jnanajam Vidhi.
Mohanam sarvadehinam.
Mohanam Sarvadehinam.
Pramadalasya nibradis.
Parmadalasya Nidadis.
Tanivadnati bharata.
Tani Varnati Bharata. So we'll do the word for word. Tama,
Tama.
the mode of ignorance. Two,
Two.
but.
But.
Agyananja, produced of ignorance. Vidhi, no. Mohanam, the delusion. Sarva Dehinam, of all embodied beings. Pramada, with madness. Alasya, indolence. Nidrabhi, and sleep. Tat, that. Nibadnati, binds. Bharata, O son of Bharata. Translation: O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness born of ignorance is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. So we'll go to the purport. So we'll Dweja, do you mind reading 2 sentences out of the purport? And then we'll go around reading 2 sentences after.
Again, this is an older edition, so if it's different from yours, don't be confused. In this verse, the specific application of the word to is very significant. This means that the mode of ignorance is very peculiar. That the mode of ignorance is a very peculiar qualification of the embodied soul.
The mode of ignorance is just the opposite of the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, by development of knowledge, one can understand what is what, but the mode of ignorance is just the opposite.
Everyone under the spell of the mode of ignorance becomes mad, and a madman cannot understand what is what. Instead of making advancement, one becomes degraded.
The definition of the mode of ignorance is stated in the literature. Vastu, and I don't understand that, but that's okay, I'll get through it. Vastu, Nyaya, Viparaya, Jana, Jakam, Tama. Under the spell of ignorance, one cannot understand a thing as it is.
I'll read that. Vastu maya yana varakam vidyaraya varayaya yana janakim kam tamam. For example, everyone can see that his grandfather has died, and therefore he will also die. Man is mortal. Children that he conceives will also die.
Maybe.
Oh, so death is sure. Still, people are madly accumulating money and working very hard all day and night, not caring for the eternal spirit. This is madness.
In their madness, they are very reluctant to make advancement in spiritual understanding. So such people are lazy.
When they are invited to associate for spiritual understanding, they are not much interested. They are not even active, like the man who is controlled by the mode of passion.
Thus, another symptom of one embedded in the mode of ignorance is that he sleeps more than is required. 6 hours of sleep is sufficient, but a man in the mode of ignorance sleeps at least 10 or 12 hours a day.
Such a man appears to be always dejected and is addicted to intoxicants and sleeping. These are the symptoms of a person conditioned by the mode of ignorance.
So this is so there's additional commentary Amen. Sit down. There's an additional commentary that I'll read, and then we'll go very deep into this because there's a lot to unpack. Well, one is, excuse me. In goodness, we can work purely. In passion, we at least produce fruits from our work that may be offered to Krishna. Ignorance, however, produces nothing but deeper ignorance. Sattva, or goodness, creates inactivity based on knowledge. But tama, ignorance, creates inactivity based on lack of knowledge. So the great Srila Baladev Vidyabhusana comments, the use of the word tu here indicates that ignorance is opposite is of the other modes. Pramada, madness, opposes goodness. Alasya, indolence, opposes passion. And nidra, sleep, opposes both goodness and passion. So this, as I mentioned earlier, these colors or these modes are what essentially gives us is how we find our happiness in either one of these three modes. In the mode of goodness, we find a certain type of happiness. Amen? Thank you. Let's sit down, baby. Thank you. In the mode of goodness, we find happiness by, let's say, reading a book in the park, talking about some type of subject matter which may be able to help mankind. Happiness in the mode of goodness, of passion, is trying to find a business that will bring us a lot of return off our profit, and we get so intoxicated by that idea. It brings us happiness. Today I would make, $1,000. Next week, 100,000. In a year, a couple million. This is that happiness in the mode of passion. And happiness in the mode of ignorance is doing those things which are degrading and devastating to the body and the consciousness. When we drink, our subtle body becomes affected by the action or by that intoxicant. Even though our soul is not affected by any of these things, our subtle body, which is is a covering that cannot be seen by the material eye. When we drink, when we take different types of intoxicants, it put holes in our subtle body, which makes it very easy for us to be susceptible to be visited by unsavory living entities that may see, this person, their energy level is their vibration level is so low, I can interact on that level. So that sometimes when we're intoxicated, we see things that others don't see. Is because that lower level of vibration is able to see our consciousness, and they're able to interact on that basis. So the happiness is different in all these different categories of the gunas. And based off of what modes we're predominantly in, we will find enjoyment, we'll find frustration, we'll find so many things based on our modes of based off our modes. But Srila Prabhupada explains, or Krishna is explaining here, that the mode of ignorance can be also qualified by certain traits. So depression is considered a mode of ignorance, because in depression we cannot functionally think properly. We don't even think. We are in a state of there's bewilderment. And so Krishna says,
Not understanding.
correct,
Not understanding.
not understanding. So because whenever our mind is in a state of not understanding, and we don't know how to properly develop understanding, this is considered tamas, where we're not able to function, we're dejected. When the body's like, you need to wake up, but the mind says sleep longer. I'm already at 7 hours. Get another 3. Get another 4, another 5. So Prabhupada says, yes, sleep is necessary. This body is a machine. You must recharge the machine. But everything should be done in moderation. So adequate sleep. But the person in the mode of ignorance, they sleep like a bear. And when they get up, they have no desire to do anything. And in the mode of ignorance, there's no function that is for their ultimate well-being. It's actually everything which is done is actually harming them. But they don't know it.
Don't realize it.
There's no realization of that. I was listening to a class a little earlier, and it was saying that both those in the mode of ignorance and those in the mode of passion share one similarity, is that they do not act. But the person in the mode of goodness doesn't act because they understand what the result is by that action. The person in the mode of ignorance doesn't act because they don't understand anything. So they just sit there, or they just lay there, or they go to some form of intoxication because it allows them to not have to think. Or complacency. And this is complacency is a quality of the mode of ignorance. These are all very scientific understandings. And we can look at different points of our life and see, oh, I was like this at this point in my life. I was like this at that point in my life. And Krishna says that if you're going to be bound by any of the modes, be bound by the mode of goodness. But don't be attached to the mode of goodness, because sometimes in the mode of goodness, pride comes. When we develop a certain amount of knowledge, we become prideful how much we know. And this is why Krishna's giving these categories. Because as living entities, if we're here in this room, or if we're here in this space to understand, that we must be able to see things from the proper perspective. Just like, when you don't know you need glasses, then sometimes it's very difficult to make sense of what you're looking at. But when you do know you need glasses, it's like, okay, I know what I'm seeing is probably not accurate, so therefore I need some help trying to see. And ideally, you want to get some glasses or contacts so you can see properly. But those in the mode of passion, the mode of ignorance, don't know that they don't know. They don't know they can't see. They don't even care about seeing.
Because they don't know.
Because they don't know. And as we gradually enhance our intelligence, enhance our understanding, then we begin to recognize those versions of ourselves that hopefully we've evolved from. Hopefully. This process, there were a couple other things I want to mention before I talk about this process. As far as how we define the mode of ignorance. The mode of ignorance is also criticism. Criticism, when we're criticizing someone, that is the mode of ignorance. If there's no criticism with the hopes or with the attempts to help that person, it is not constructive criticism. It is just criticism. That is the mode of ignorance. So if we want to help somebody, we can, yes, tell them something that they may not want to hear, but give them solutions. But criticism without solutions is in the mode of ignorance.
Show them the path.
Yes.
Path for them. But yeah, understands.
When we are, no, you're fine. This is a dialogue. We'll open up to realizations and you're totally fine.
I don't mean no disrespect.
No, you're fine. I mean, this is because there's not many people today. We can get a little more, a little deeper, and talk a little bit more. So we have, yes, the criticism. We also have there's sleep, there's excessive sleep. There's, as Srila Prabhupada put, indolence. I'm not sure the definition of indolence. Does anybody know the
Lethargy,
lethargies? Just
sloth, not having the energy or the motivation to even take care of yourself.
mm.
You're asking for
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
So lack of motivation. Sometimes we think that not being motivated just means that we're just not motivated, but actually lack of motivation is the motive of ignorance, because we're not acting for our well-being. We're actually just surviving. Go ahead.
habitual laziness or persistent avoidance of activity and effort.
That's the definition.
It's the lack of desire.
Mm.
Well, no, it's the lack of willingness to act.
Desire. The action to want to do things.
This little girl here is not indolent.
Yeah, she's active, very active.
She wants to act.
Yes. So this is the mode of passion and activity.
Yeah.
Just to act for sense enjoyment. So before we go any deeper, we'll open up for thoughts, reflections, realizations.
We have some major relations. I mean, like what we're dealing with our mother is a lot of what we're seeing here. And it's more a mental health issue almost than it is a physiological issue.
It's both.
But yeah, both there and trying to get her out of that mode of wanting to be in indolent sleep all the time,
Mm.
and activity more,
Mm.
to continue living vibrantly at 77. And not slowly fade away.
And this is really important, because I remember when I used to work at Montreux is a kind of wealthy establishment for retired people
Yeah,
on 71st.
Yeah.
And they have the assisted living, and then they have independent living.
Where I left here.
What is that?
I used to work in that same place, 18 to 22,
Ah,
as a volunteer to help folks. But anyway, go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
so you have these people in their 80s, 70s, 80s, and some 90s that are, thriving. They're engaged. They have their own contacts, their friends, and they're enjoying.
Yeah.
They go down to the Renoir and all these other places, and they get a nice wine, nice steak, and they enjoy. Talk about the 70s and 60s, all these things. They talk about these things and they enjoy it.
It's called the good old days.
The good old days, exactly. And this is their highest form of happiness, is to talking about the past. But those in assisted living, it's a little more depressing down there, because a lot of them can't do for themselves. So you'll find that even though mentally they may want to do so much, physically they can't. And so they become depressed. And that type of depression leaves them not wanting to do anything. And this is a very difficult space to be in, because your mind wants to do, but your body can't. Or it could be the other way around. Your body can, but your mind can't. So as we are perceiving the different modes of nature in action, how do we, as spiritualists, help someone gradually come up to the mode of goodness, ultimately to pure goodness. So, for example, if a person maybe, like you say, your mom is experiencing, this kind of depression, which is natural for, especially when you go from mobile to non-mobile, then you're going to, Luigi, you were out of commission for a couple weeks because of your knee, correct?
Yeah, it's been about 6 weeks.
But it's getting better, right?
I am, by the grace of God, I got a good doctor.
So,
Working on it. It's not
What's that?
necessarily your doctor, it's you.
Well, I think
Not
it's
your
a
doctor.
joint effort.
Exactly, get it, joint.
But ultimately, it's
I know.
because of the way the Supreme Personality of Godhead designed nature.
could you say that while you were kind of recovery, you were in a state of depression?
No, because I know better. You know, you get into a state of depression when you feel like there's no hope for attaining something. But understanding, actually, because of Bhagavad Gita, understanding who I am, what my body is, what my relationship is with others. No, I didn't get depressed. I got a little bored. But no, I did not get depressed. But I understand people getting depressed. I used to also work with old people. And when they're frustrated in their desires and there's nothing they can do about it, when you're young, you can think, all right, well, I'll work out or I'll go to school and this way I'll accomplish my desires. But when you're old, like me, then there's not that future to, there's not that resource to draw on because, if I worked out, it may actually be bad for my body, because it's getting so old. There's no sense of going to school to learn something. So, you can get depressed.
So in the case of mom, yes, you can experience, yes, she's going through these stages, but you, having knowledge, can do certain things to help her in her state of depression or anxiety.
We're trying
Yes.
really hard.
And a lot of times, if someone, this is one of the easiest things that we can do to help someone else kind of get out, raise their mode of consciousness. And that's by cooking something. Even if it's making a beverage, and
They'll have her get in there.
Oh, have her do it?
Yeah.
She can't even
no.
stand up.
I'm not saying have
Give
her do it
something.
because you all are in charge of taking care.
Well, her car didn't work for a year and a half, and I came and fixed it and completely cleaned it and got it running and everything, and she can't even get up. But I said, here's your car, Mom.
Here's your car.
So get your butt moving,
There's a goal.
and you can actually drive your car again. It's all clean and beautiful now,
Mm.
and it runs like a dream.
Yeah.
Motivational tools.
Yeah, definitely. But because she can't move and there's not much she can do, then as the easiest way to help her get out of this state of depression, anxiety, is you two together to cook for her. Whether something healthy that she'll eat. I know her foods that she likes may be kind of restricted to certain things. But you can learn how to make something for her and just pray over it. And that will steadily increase her consciousness.
We're praying for that.
Yes, this is when we're interacting with like spiritual vibrations. This is the potency. So however potent you two are is directly going to transfer to the potency of what your mom experiences. So you were going to say something? Oh, okay. So this,
It breaks our hearts, just so you know,
yeah.
because we're trying.
Yeah.
so far. And we just can't get her to wake up
Yeah.
and quit being so just complacent.
Yeah. And this is, and this is, as children, even though you all are grown children of hers, this is the greatest opportunity to repay mom for taking care of you all when you are babies. I think in the Bible says twice children, once, you know. So as our parents get older, we have to take care of them. This is the service.
So don't consider it a burden.
Yeah.
Consider it a beautiful thing.
And service in that mode is actually the mode of goodness. Because when we serve with, they were never nice to me or something like that, then that's service in the mode of ignorance. Everything we do, what we speak, what we say, how we think, how we eat, all these things can be categorized in different modes of material nature. And this is why it's important. This is why it's a science to understand, okay, if I do this with this intention, so for example, if I'm studying for higher knowledge is considered mode of goodness. But if I'm using the mode of goodness to use that knowledge to hurt someone, now it is no longer in the mode of goodness. It is in the mode of ignorance.
Can you say that one more time?
Yes. So if someone is getting a degree, generally that's considered mode of goodness because gaining knowledge is considered a quality in the mode of goodness. But if that knowledge is used to hurt someone, then that knowledge is now in the mode of ignorance. So for example, if we are working very hard, but we find some charity or some organization that's really helping people and we give a couple dollars, that even though what we're doing is in a mode of passion, it is now transformed in a mode of goodness because we're using our hard-earned efforts to help somebody or some organization to help others. Or what to speak of if there's a, well, I won't go into that particular pastime, but it's important to understand what we do, how it can be categorized in these different modes. And ultimately our intention is what quantifies what mode of nature we're in, is what is our intention. So a lot of times people hear in like the yoga world, like, oh, sex is bad. Sex is not bad. But if sex is used only for just to gratify the senses and not to ideally create life or to reciprocate in a loving way with your partner, then that is in the mode of ignorance, mode of passion. And ignorance too.
The modes combine. But what you just described is definitely mode of passion, but it's also tinged by mode of ignorance.
Yes.
It does not lead to enlightenment. It just makes you think you're this body.
Right. And any activity that further conditions us to label or identify as the body is a mixture between passion and ignorance. Because as we become more conditioned by this body, by this nationality, by this religion, by all these distinctions, then we're becoming further entangled in the modes. And the idea is not to become entangled. It's to understand, oh, this rope is the mode of goodness. This rope is the mode of passion. This rope is the mode of ignorance. And to ideally unbind ourselves. But some people like to be bound.
They enjoy it.
They enjoy it.
They're so used to it.
Yes.
Or because it gives you security,
Secure.
significance.
Yes. Yeah. 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 And these things, yeah, these things are because this is how we're raised. This is what society teaches us. So when this is comfortable, but actually, when we are complacent, this is one of the highest modes of ignorance. Because in complacency, you don't want to do anything. You don't want to learn. You don't want to try, and you're just there. You're stuck.
You're there. That's what you put it. You're just there.
There's the book Be Here Now.
I've listened to it.
What are you going to do while you're here? Yes, we can be present in the moment, but what are we present in? So as we sit here, we should be trying to take something that can help us enhance our quality of life. Enhance our quality of happiness. Raise our standard of happiness. Because those who seek happiness in the mode of ignorance, their standard is very low. Therefore, I want to become intoxicated. It's easy. Just give me a few dollars. And it'll last for a few hours, hopefully. And then we have to find the next one. And unfortunately, this is the way society kind of trains us. We're trained this way. And if we learn to break these habits and find pleasure in something higher than just sensory stimulation, then that happiness now becomes happiness in the mode of goodness. But as Krishna says, we want happiness beyond the mode of goodness. And that happiness beyond the mode of goodness is happiness in direct service to divinity. Some people think, well, maybe there's not a God. Well, serve somebody else. Serve someone who needs the help, because within them God exists. A divine manifestation of God exists within everybody. So even if you don't feel that God exists, then serve someone else. Try to enhance their quality of life. And then gradually your quality of life will automatically increase.
If everyone in the world felt like that, it would be a much better world.
Much better place. Because we
I do it all the time, so does he.
hey,
There's also a lot of people in this world that don't
Okay.
do that. So, I mean, unfortunately, unfortunately that's where we're at.
And so as I mentioned last week, it takes this group, it takes groups other places that are trying to do this, that are trying to enlighten,
Yes.
enhance our quality of life. Because if we're not enhancing our quality of life, what's happening? We're being bombarded by everything else that is meant to distract us. And distraction is ultimately in the mode of ignorance because it doesn't allow us to do what's really important, which is that work on ourselves for everybody else.
Yeah, if you help other people, hopefully it would make you feel better about yourself.
That is one of the easiest ways.
That's not selfishness.
It's not selfishness, especially if if the goal of helping someone else is to genuinely help them, not to not to make you feel better, but just to help them. It's guaranteed to help you feel better, even if you're in like a very sunken or very kind of depressed place. If you help somebody else, I guarantee you, it'll make you feel better. And this is why we have to understand what are the different modes of nature and how we can steadily raise our mode. And fear is also the mode of ignorance, because fear does not allow you to think properly. You're so concerned about what if. And because of the nature of fear, it is directly in the mode of ignorance. And when we are cautious, when we're mindful about something, that is the mode of goodness, because we're thinking properly. But fear does not allow one to think properly. We actually become like animalistic.
Barbarian, yeah.
Yeah. Any thoughts? Because we're getting kind of close to the end. I know I mentioned a few things. Amen. So the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance is something that, especially in the U.S., we're very kind of consumed by, because we're very, we are impulsive. This impulsive nature is a mixture between passion and ignorance, because by being impulsive, we just do. We don't even think about what we do, we just do it. Sometimes this is the beauty of children, is you see like so many things are going on in the mind, but there's no calculation as to is this better or this is not better. And as we grow, sometimes our ability to decipher or to make distinctions are no better than the child. And so as we develop knowledge, develop intelligence, discriminatory, Srila Prabhupada said we must be intelligently discriminate. Not just discriminate, because that is discrimination done without intelligence is ignorant. And so I always, when I first read that, intelligent discrimination, I was like, this makes sense, because it's like I'm not judging something on its appearance. I'm making my judgment based on the quality of that thing, or the character of that thing, versus we're taught, oh, this person's that color, this person's that religion, this person has this, likes this gender, or whatever. But these are all distinctions in the mode of ignorance. But if we make distinctions intelligently, we understand, oh, this person may be of this race, but they're actually a really nice person. This person may be of this spiritual affiliation
That you might not prefer.
that you might not prefer, but they're actually very kind.
Very nice person, yeah.
Or this person may like this specific gender, but it's okay because they're beautiful inside.
You see that quite often in this world.
There's so much that society, media will tell you to judge based off on, but this is in the mode of ignorance.
Yes, it is.
So we have to use our intelligence to make proper distinction. And and there's a book called the Spiritual Warrior Series by my mom's teacher. And he was saying that as spiritual warriors, our weapons must be compassion and tolerance. Tolerance. Confirmed. As well as love.
Kindness, yeah, same.
Those should be our weapons. If we're not utilizing those weapons, then we're being attacked. Or we're attacking with other forms of weapons, which are not ideal. They're not going to actually solve any problems.
We reflect upon them as not as weapons, actually. And as opposed to, never mind, shut up.
No.
Those aren't weapons. Those are ways that you can change the path of other people around you. And if you can change the path of people around you that are going in the wrong direction,
Mm.
You're taking away the negative,
Yeah.
the negative things that flow through
Yeah.
people's minds. You don't want to fight somebody, you don't want to, be mad at someone. So if you can instill that upon someone in some way, in my mind, anyway, hopefully, if we could all do that, it'd be a much better world.
Yeah. And yeah, no, I think it's very beautiful. Thank you for making that statement. Bhaktitirtha Swami uses weapon in reference to how to defend ourselves. A weapon in the sense of defense. You know.
I have no issues with
Yeah.
that at all.
And this, and if we learn to utilize these skills, then yes, we can change the world.
It takes all of us.
But to what degree do we want to utilize them, even in the face of someone who we don't like, who doesn't like us?
Maybe you can change that.
Maybe you can change that. So, we'll wrap up. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Thank you all so much. Hopefully we've started an appetite